Since everybody's worried all the time, then we need to talk about stop being worried. Now, really, it's a very long topic. What I want to do today is just quickly go over the concept where the worry originates from. How to start dealing with it, that I think we'll have to take a few other classes. But first, in order to find the cure, you have to understand where the problem comes from. Now, we mentioned many times that our essence and our main avodah in this world comes from our midot, our character traits, our attributes. And when a person asks, what is the human being? Is it the body? No, because the body dies and then decomposes. So what is the real me? What defines me is my character traits. And even in this world, even chas v'shalom, I don't have to die. What really defines me? You're saying about a person, what do you think about Moshe Zuchmin? Oh, he's very kind. What do you think about so-and-so? Ah, he's cheap. He's this, he's that. We define people. And what defines me is who I am. If I'm kind, then people will say he's kind. If I have a problem with anger, people will say, oh, don't mess with him, he's crazy. It's hard to deal with him. But what defines me is my character traits. Now, the character traits are the roots of the human being. And the same way that in the physical world, the roots are under the ground, you don't see the roots, you can't see the roots. But everything comes through the roots. The plant originates from the roots. It starts from the roots. Without that, it's not going to start. And more than that, the entire sustenance of the tree or the plant comes through the roots. So the midot, our attributes, our character traits, is our roots. And that's what defines us. Now, I came to this world to refine my character traits. And I came here with good character traits and with bad character traits. The good character traits just help me to refine the bad ones, and they also have to be empowered. But then I have a whole list of bad character traits that I need to refine. I have to polish them up. I have to work on them. And every person comes with his character traits. Each one is different. Some of them are pretty general for everybody, like anger and jealousy, and judgmental and stuff like that everybody has them. Just some people have them more and some people have them less. But there's no such a thing that a person doesn't have anger. It's very almost rare to find somebody that doesn't have anger. Some people, they just get angry like that. Some people will take them a couple hours to get them angry. But at some point you'll always find somebody has a certain point where he gets angry. Or patience. Or jealous. Same thing. We all share all the midot. Everybody has jealousy in them to some extent. But jealousy can be something also positive. So the point is that we all have these character traits. And the character traits, I have to learn in order to know how to refine them. And if I know how to control, how to overpower my emotions and my character traits, that I'm considered a king. Now, why is it considered a king? Because a king in Hebrew is called melech. And melech is the acronym of moach, lev, and kaved. Brain, intellect, heart, and liver. What are these three components? The moach is my intellect, is what allows me to learn. We can develop a learning skill. And not only human beings have it, also animals have this component in their brain. You can train an animal to do things. But our brain is the component that holds the intellect, what allows me to learn. The heart is what's holding all my feelings. And my liver is where my yetzer hara is. Now I have to bring myself to a point that my intellect, my moach, controls my heart and my liver. That's the difference between us and any other creature. That we are called mehalech. Mehalech is something that walks. And most human beings, they walk straight, or they stand straight. Most animals, they're on four. There are some animals that they walk on two, but most animals, they walk on four, or they walk half on their legs, half on their hands. But we are humans, we're standing up. Why? Because I have to bring to an hierarchy that my mind is on the top, my sechel is on the top, then the heart, then the yetzer hara. That's when I sleep, then all my systems are shut down, because I bring down my brain and my heart and the liver to be equal. So my entire system is asleep. It's numb. So I don't think, you can't develop emotions while you're sleeping. You definitely can't learn anything while you're sleeping. So I have to bring to a point that my mind is controlling my heart and controlling my liver. When I'm able to do that, then I'm considered a melech, a king, not because I get a crown, rather because I'm organizing the hierarchy of these three components in the right way, that the moach shalit al halev, the moach, the mind, controls the heart, and with that also controls my liver, my yetzer hara. Now, there is many different midot, different character traits. Like I mentioned, that when I come back, Bezrat Hashem, we're going to start a whole course. But I mentioned many times that on the positive side, like everything, there's a positive and a negative. On the positive side, the top midah is anava, is being humble. And the top midah in the negative side is called ge'ava, which is pride. This is where it both originates from. And then it will start creating generations, so to say. So from the midah of pride, of ge'ava, it will generate two midot, that is called kas, anger, and sadness, atzvut. But that will start developing another layer. And the next layer will be de'aga and pachad. De'aga is to worry, and pachad is fear. That if you want to track it up, it will come first originate from fear, from anger and sadness, and will go up more to ge'ava, to pride.
Anger, sadness, and then it goes to worry?
The highest midah is ge'ava, pride, and that will birth two midot, anger and sadness. And from that, we're not going to go through the entire structure, but the next generation that can come from both the anger and the sadness, usually it will come more from the sadness. We will develop another two midot of fear and worry, de'aga and pachad. And usually they go together, the fear and the worry. Now, there is a rabbi that lived about 100 years ago, give or take, is known as Rabbi Dessler. And when he approached the topic about this concept of worry and fear, he says, I don't understand why somebody would do it. It's a mistake. There's no such a thing as fear, and there's no such a thing as worry. Somebody calls you and he tells you, can I speak with Moishi? No, it's a wrong number. You have a mistake. And you hang up. So when worry or fear comes knocking on your door, you have to say exactly what Rabbi Dessler says. No, it's a mistake. You have the wrong number. It's the wrong address. It's a mistake. The character trait, the attribute of fear and worry doesn't really exist. It's a mistake. To think that I have to worry about something and to have fear from something, it originates basically because I have a deficiency in my nefesh. That's where it originates from. Now, what really does the worry do? Worry and fear are kind of the same thing. I'm not talking about the fear that I'm afraid of a dog. I'm fear of a situation. I'm fear what's going to be the outcome of this situation. Like I have a problem with money, I can't pay my rent. In one way, I can say I'm worried because I don't know how, but I'm also fear. What's going to happen? I don't have money. What's going to be the result? So fear and worry are separate, but they always come together. Usually if you have fear, then you worry. And usually if you worry, you'll have fear. But both of them, what it does, it separates the reality from the presence that doesn't bring any benefit for the future. If I do something that will benefit the future, then this is not considered worry or fear. That's considered I'm initiating something. If I don't have now money, or my rent is due in a week, or something, and instead of me sitting and worrying will not change the future. Having fear of the outcome is not going to benefit the future. So I'm taking now the presence, and I'm separating the presence from its reality, and I'm causing to a loss in the presence because of this character trait of fear or worry. I'm not producing anything. It's not that me saying, okay, next week I owe rent, what am I doing? Let me go and work. Let me go and do this. Let me go. That's not fear. That's not worry. That's initiating a solution. But if I sit at home all worried what's going to happen, then what I'm doing is, and now I'm creating a deficiency in the presence. Now I'm creating a loss in the presence because I'm not doing anything, and this loss doesn't do any benefit for the future. Worry and fear will never benefit me. If I will analyze it, or if I will retroactively look, I will see I didn't benefit anything. The fact that I worried. Somebody once told me, "How come you never worry?" I said, "Because it never achieved anything. If I worry, it's going to make a difference. If I'm going to worry now, is that going to change the outcome? No. So why worry? What good does it do? If I'm now concerned, that's a whole different thing, because I'm thinking, okay, this is a situation, I have to find a solution. But the fact that I worry will not cause any change in the future. So why should I worry? Why should I waste my time?" Somebody not too long ago here got very upset by somebody else's comment. And it became a big fight. And I told him, "I'm sorry I'm telling it to you in that way, but why are you willing to let somebody else's stupidity affect you? Somebody else is behaving in a foolish way, and you are allowing it to get you out of your balance? Sorry to tell you, you are the fool, not him, because you are allowing it to affect you." It's almost like the story I told you with my wife, that somebody told her she looked old, and the whole day she was upset. Why are you allowing somebody else's stupidity or ignorance affect your entire day because they said something that is irrelevant? So when I take any type of an action and I build on it fear or worry, I'm not doing any benefit for the future. I'm actually creating a loss in the present, because now I'm losing time, I'm losing focus, I'm not productive, I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting and concentrating on what I'm worried about. So really, practically what's happening is when I worry, I'm creating a deficiency in the present that doesn't do any benefit for the future. That's what you have to remember. Now, the reality is that everybody's afraid of something. We all have some type of a fear. Now I'm going to kind of separate the fear and the worry. Some people are afraid of things that are natural. You're afraid of an animal. You are afraid of darkness. Whatever it is, everybody has some type of a fear. Regardless, the fear is a lack of information. If I don't have enough information, then it will cause me to fear. The problem is that when a person has the character trait of fear or worry as one of the dominating negative characters, that the person is not worried about the rent, or the person is not worried about if I'll find my other half, or if the disease will pass. That's just their character trait. So they'll worry if there's a fly on the wall, they'll worry that the fly is on the wall. They're not worried about the situation. Rather, that's, I don't want to say their nature, because there's no such a thing as nature. Rather, that's their dominating negative character trait. So they'll find a reason what to be worried about. So today will be the rent, tomorrow will be the disease, the next day will be the lawsuit, the next day will be this, and they'll find what to lean on. Okay, now I have to be worried about that.
But it's not happen.
Yeah, character trait is not necessarily that you're born with it. Sometimes character traits come in a later stage in your life.
Yeah.
But here is two different groups. There's one group of warriors, not warriors in a fight, rather warriors. They worry all the time, and they have fear because that's their character trait, and they just find the topic on what to worry. Some people, the situation in life brought them to a point that they're in a dead end that creates now the worry. But that comes from fear. It doesn't come from worry. Sometimes you have worry that comes from fear. Now I don't have money to pay my rent. I'm afraid. I'm going to be on the street. Now I become worried because I'm afraid. But sometimes the worry has nothing to do with fear. Usually they come together. But the reality is that if it's in me, then it's not what I'm worried about. It's the fact that I'm worried. Some people, we make a joke out of it. But they say that, when a Jewish mom, when a child goes on a trip or whatever, the Jewish mom syndrome, that she's constantly afraid or worried. Call me when you get there. Take a coat. What do you mean take a coat? It's 90 degrees outside. No, maybe it will be cold. So this is like the Jewish mom syndrome, that they're always worried. See? Don't worry. Don't worry. Somebody's going to come. Everything will be okay. So going back to where we started, everybody has some type of a fear from something. Some of the fears, they have something substantial, and some not. Some is just a fear. And when a person is constantly looking to blame the fear right now or the worry, this is when it comes already from our character traits. Sometimes in life there is a situation that the situation is not a comfortable situation that would cause me to have fear, that will cause me to worry. That's just for now, for the sake of the example, we'll separate them from the fear and the worry that I'm a warrior, or that the situation in life brought me to this, to be worried right now. Either way, doesn't matter if you were born like that. Some people they worry all the time. Our joke, I started saying about the Jewish mom, our joke is the Polish mom. The Polish mom always worries. And did you take a sandwich? Yeah, I have five of them. No, but take another one. Take a coat. Take this. Take that. Okay, I'm fine. Let's leave me alone. No. Maybe it's going to rain. Call me when you get there. Stop worrying. Some people, it's in their neshama, as they're constantly worried. But either way you're looking at it, any person that has worries, the worry, the daga, or the fear comes from a deficiency. It's called choser, and something's lacking. What is lacking? I have a void in my nefesh. Not in my ruach and not in my neshama. In my nefesh, the lower parts of the neshama, there's a void there. So, when there's a void in my nefesh, then it will come out to the world as fear or worry. If my nefesh is 100% perfect, it's not easy to get to 100% perfection, but when my nefesh is fed the right way, there wouldn't be any worries. Which means when I find that I have a worry, then the problem is not with the situation that I'm worried about, the problem is in my soul, in my nefesh. If I don't have money right now, or chas v'shalom a disease, or if I got married, I didn't get married, I'm going to get pregnant, not going to get all these things that cause me to worry. If I can recognize the worry in my life, it's not the problem that is causing me to worry. It's the deficiency in my neshama, in my soul, that is causing the worry. Because if I don't have a problem with my soul, I will not be worried. I will see the situation as another situation. And I will deal with it however I want to deal with it. So, the deficiency comes from the nefesh. And the point to take from that is that worries never help. They don't help when I worry. Does it help me if I worry? Now my kids, they go on all the summer camps. My wife is constantly, call me when they get there. Oh, do you think it's safe? Why do you worry all the time? Let him go. Let him enjoy himself. You think he's going to enjoy himself that you call every 2 minutes to see if he's okay? If chas v'shalom, something has to happen, it will happen even if you put 4 bodyguards around him. So the deficiency is that I don't have trust in Hashem. That's the deficiency in my neshama. If I trust Hashem 100%, I will never worry about anything. I will never fear anything, and I will never worry about anything, because whatever's supposed to happen, that's what's going to happen. And why do I have to not worry about everything? Rabbi Akiva says, everything that Hashem does, kol man derachmane avid, letav avid. Everything that Hashem does, He does for the good. Rabbi Akiva says that. Everything that Hashem does, kol de'avid rachmana, everything that Hashem does, letav avid. He does it for a good cause. So something bad looks like something bad. There's no such a thing. Hashem is not a mean God. He doesn't do anything bad. Hashem does everything is good. Now if I believe that everything that Hashem does is good, then I will never worry. So even now I don't have money to pay the rent. It's good. Maybe Hashem wants me to move to a different house. If I get stuck now on the highway because of 2 flat tires, it's good. It means Hashem wants me to go on a different flight. Maybe this flight, chas v'shalom, will be a disaster. Anything, I don't know what. Anything that Hashem does is good. So anything that bad that happens in my life, if I right away pull out the concept that everything that Hashem does is good, then why should I worry? Hashem will take care of everything. Like I gave you that example when I went a few weeks ago to London, and the car, I got stuck on the highway. Somebody ran into me and I bumped into the shoulder and the tires exploded. I could say, how am I going to get home now? How am I going to get the car back to its place? How am I going to get on a flight? Where am I going to stay for Shabbat? The first thing that came up in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm missing the flight again. That's my record. Then the first thought that came into my mind, where am I staying for Shabbat? Now, that thought came not as a worry. It came as practical, okay, where am I staying for Shabbat? Let me find a practical solution right now. But I didn't let that now, okay, I said, okay, that's plan C. Let me first see how I'm getting out of the highway. Maybe I can still catch a plane. Maybe I'll get another plane. Maybe I'll get into the flight. I had all the rights in the world to start worrying. Wait a minute, I'm in the middle of the highway. I can be now robbed. I can chas v'shalom. I can get run over. I was literally on the side of the highway. But since everything that Hashem does is good, nothing that Hashem does is for no reason or bad, then what do I have to worry? Hashem is going to take care of it. Now when I take responsibility and I think that I can cause a solution, then Hashem says, okay, you think you can come up with a solution? Let's see you. But if I say, Hashem, this is your problem, then it's Hashem's problem, it's not my problem. So really when I worry, it comes from a deficiency that I have zero, well I shouldn't say zero, but I don't have much trust in Hashem. If I had trust in Hashem, then I wouldn't worry. If I worry, it means I don't have trust in Hashem. Because if I worry, it means that I see the reality in the wrong way. If I see the reality in the right way, then I will never develop any fear and I will never develop any worry. But I see the reality in the wrong way, so I start developing this fear and this worrying. Now, the point to take from here is that when something happens, is I have to understand that the worries will never do any benefit for me. If I say, okay, by me worrying right now and pacing from side to side, will it benefit anything? If I can come up with an answer of yes, then okay, so it's not a worry. I'm just looking for a plan. But if I'm worried about something and my anxiety, my fear is not going to cause any solution, that's where I have to put my screen down and say, okay, there's no point of doing it. It's a reality of a lie. In the desert, Bnei Israel, they used to get man every day. 40 years they used to get man. And our sages explain that every day enough man came down for the sky to feed the entire nation for 2,000 years. That's the amount of man that came down from the sky. Just imagine, there are about 3 million people in the desert, times that 2,000 years. That's the portions that came down. But they were only allowed to take one portion. And the whole concept of this man was to create the trust in Hashem. That tomorrow I'm going to get another portion, and the next day I'll get another one. That's why when we talked so many times about how do you build bitachon, how do you build emunah, trust and faith in Hashem, when one of the simple loopholes is to say Birkat HaMazon, is to bench every day. Because who started the first bracha in benching is Moshe Rabbeinu. Birkat HaMazon is built from 4 parts. The first part was compiled by Moshe Rabbeinu. The next part was compiled by Yoshua when he conquered the land. The third part was compiled by David HaMelech. And the fourth part was compiled by the Sanhedrin, by the Knesset HaGdolah. So 4 sections of Birkat HaMazon were compiled by 4 different groups. But the first one, that is from the Torah, the Oraita, that was compiled by Moshe Rabbeinu. And when they used to get the man, Hazan et Hakol, the blessing that is called the Baruch Ata Hashem, Hazan et Hakol. Now when I say that every day, then that's how I build my trust and my faith in Hashem. Because the whole test in the Midbar was to see if they will trust Hashem. If they will trust the fact that tomorrow there'll be food again. And anything that they didn't take with them, or if they would take any extras, it will all rot. If somebody would take 10 portions, 1 portion will stay fresh, 9 portions will rot right away. And the miracle was that on Friday they will get 2 portions. That's one of the many reasons why we put 2 chalot, 2 chalas on a Friday night and Saturday. It's called lechem mishneh, because on Friday, Sunday to Thursday, when they used to go out to the desert, they would bring 1 portion of man. Friday they would get 2 portions, 1 for Friday, 1 for Shabbat. So that's one of the many reasons why we have 2 breads to commemorate. 1 is for today, 1 is for tomorrow. Now when I say Birkat HaMazon, I show in my way that I trust the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So I don't like using the words remedy, but one of the remedies of pulling out this attribute of bitachon, because if I have a problem with worrying, it's not that I have a problem with worrying, I have a problem with bitachon, with faith and trust in Hashem. If I have faith and trust in Hashem, I will never worry. David HaMelech says, Gam ki elech begetz al mavet, even if I will go in the valley of the shadow of death, lo irara, I'm not going to be afraid. Why? Ki atay madi, because you're with me. As long as Hashem is with me, why should I be afraid? Moshe Rabbeinu was a little bit afraid of Paro, and Hashem says, come, let's go together. When you're with me, you have nothing to be afraid of. So the point is, when I have a problem with worrying and with fear, the problem is not the worrying, the problem is my bitachon. How to deal with my worrying? We'll Bezrat Hashem do another class, but the basics of how do I get rid of the point of me being worried and being fear is to work on my faith and my bitachon. But because if I have faith and trust in Hashem, I will never be worried. Because I know that whatever Hashem does, it's good. It does for the good. So the thing is that when I worry, I basically narrow down the channel where I get my abundance from. I choke my arteries, so to say, my spiritual arteries, where I get my shefa when I worry. Some people even say that worrying fear is literally a sin. It's an avera, it's a chet to worry, because I'm basically showing zero trust in Hashem. I have lack of trust in Hashem that I worry. But spiritually, what happens if I have to get a certain abundance? If I have to now find my other half, and I'm going to get married with my other half on this date, if I worry, I push it away. I actually narrow down the channel through the abundance will come in, because I'm worried why and when it will happen. That's why you see with many couples before the wedding, there's a lot of tension. Why? Because there's worry. Maybe it's going to work out. Maybe it's not going to work out. What's going to happen? And by worrying, I narrow down this channel of abundance, and then instead of getting this abundance coming in an easy flow, it comes in a very restricted way. And then starts all these issues and problems. Instead of saying, okay, I'm supposed to get married when I'm going to get married. When I got engaged to my wife, we got engaged 2 weeks after we were dating. And we wanted to get married a month later. No point of delaying anything. We know we like each other. and you are my other half, I'm your other half. What's the point of schlepping it? So of course, the families were not so happy with the whole idea. What? You only know each other for 2 weeks, you're getting married? No. So of course there was a lot of opposition from the families. And it was not easy. But at some point I was like, you know what? The wedding date was already decided 40 days before I was even born. 40 days before I was even born was decided who's going to be my other half and what's the wedding date and who's going to be the guests. And even our sages explained that which animals are going to be slaughtered to be served as chicken in the hall. Everything is decided. So if I'm going to worry it's going to change the wedding date? In the beginning it was very hard. It was a very difficult test. But at some point I caught myself and I said to myself, if I'm going to worry right now, is that going to make the wedding date different? No. The wedding date is already set in Shamayim. I don't know the wedding date yet. What good would it do if I will worry? And another example on that, I told you, we were very poor, even before the wedding. We didn't have any support, we didn't have anybody helping us. So the engagement was schlepped, was pushed. It was very difficult to be next to each other, so I stayed in New York and my wife came to here, to Tzfat, to learn, to separate. So I had to organize the entire wedding. Now, at the time I was sitting and learning in yeshiva, and I literally didn't have money. My dinners were, I had a bag of pretzels, I brought that ultra mega size bags of pretzels, and that was my meal for the week. I'm not joking. I would eat in the morning in the yeshiva, and during the day I would eat pretzels. It was in my car, and I had to pay for a wedding. And I was like, how am I going to pay for a wedding? Where am I going to bring the money now to pay for a wedding? So I told you, we used to show real estate in the city. For 6 weeks I would go every day from morning to night, running like a chicken without a head in the city, trying to show apartments to make money. 6 weeks, I didn't make 1 cent. 1 cent. And I was worried, where am I going to get money for the wedding? And I had this, not fear, here was just worry. Where am I have a wedding in 6 weeks, I don't have $1, how am I paying? Everybody was asking me, the caterer, the hall, the band, how are you paying? Don't worry, the night of the wedding I'll pay you. No, you have to pay me something now. And I was like, where am I getting money? 6 weeks I was running in the city literally without a chicken without a head, morning to night. I didn't learn, I didn't pray, I didn't eat. I had at night a bag of pretzels. I would pray Arvit by myself because I would come home from the city late at night and I didn't even learn, I didn't even know what I'm supposed to do. And I didn't make $1. Came a week before the wedding, I don't have money. And I was worried, I'm not going to lie to you, I was very worried. I was worried, now I was already afraid. How am I going to do that? A week before the wedding, my mom comes for the wedding, and she comes earlier before everybody, and she hands me over an envelope. This is from Uncle Moshe. And he gives me another envelope. This is from Uncle Shmerel. He gives me another envelope. This is from your father's friend Chaim. This is from this. I'm just making up names. Suddenly, I had like a couple $1,000 from gifts that she came with. And then 3 days before the wedding, some organization said, we'll cover the flowers. 2 days before the wedding, another organization said, we'll pay half of the band. A day before the wedding, this guy gives me money. This guy. In 1 week before the wedding, everything was covered. The whole wedding was covered. I told her we sold the car, I had enough money to pay the caterer. Suddenly, everything worked out. And the last thing that wasn't worked out was the caterer. And the caterer said, listen, I know you have a hard time with money. Give me 10 checks. You have 10 months to pay for the catering. Give me now X amount, and you can pay me in 10 checks. I count you. I count on you. I trust you. And I looked back, and I was like, what an idiot I was. That's when I realized that worrying in the present, not only that I'm losing from the present, I'm losing from the future. And it doesn't benefit the future. I looked back and I was like, I could have sat for 6 weeks in yeshiva and learned from morning to night and eat 3 meals a day and pray 3 times a day in a minyan and learn Torah and sleep well, and all I had to do is just lick some envelopes for the invitations and that's it. If I had the little common sense to put trust in Hashem and to say Hashem is going to take care of everything, then a week before the wedding, all these gifts and everything would still come. But unfortunately, I didn't have enough bitachon in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, so for 6 weeks I thought that I can do it. And what caused from that? I had fear. How am I going to pay? I had worried. How am I going to pay for it? How am I going to bring the money from? All I needed to do is to say, you know what? Hashem is going to make it work. And right now, what I was supposed to do is to sit and learn. Because my rabbi kept telling me, sit and learn, don't worry. My rabbi told me, don't worry, sit and learn. I told him, but I need to pay for wedding. He told me, sit and learn. An effort is to work 2-3 hours a day, not 14 hours. I'm talking about my personal experience. I should have said, okay, let me learn till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll go and work from 2 to 6. And then I'll come back and I'll still have dinner and I'll learn in the evening. That would have been the right attitude of saying, I'll make an effort, and I'll work for 4 hours, and I'll trust Hashem that the parnasah will come from 4 hours. I was worried and I said, let me work 16 hours. Let me stay another hour in the office. Let me show another apartment. That was my mistake. Of course you have to make an effort. But before you make an effort, you have to have trust. And you have to have faith that Hashem is going to come through. So Hashem is not going to make me homeless. Hashem is not going to make me suffer. And if Hashem wants to make me homeless, there's a reason for that. And I will be homeless whether I want it or not. The point is that the worry and the fear, it comes because I don't have trust in Hashem. That's where it comes from. Now when I have a disease, chas v'shalom, I need to look at the symptom, but I have to find where it originates from. The symptom doesn't reflect on where it comes from. I have to go and figure out where is this problem coming from. If I have a leak, a few weeks ago we had water here, all the floor was water. And everybody was pushing the water out, and I was like, wait, before you're pushing the water, let's find out where the water is coming from. Let's stop first the leak, then push the water. What's the point of pushing the water? And people here are like maniacs with mops, pushing the water out and tell them, stop the water. Now worry about pushing the water out. What's the point of pushing the water out? Pushing the water out, let's find the leak. So we went around and nobody could find it, and finally we found that there was a little tap under the sink, open, and it was leaking. Oh, first close the leak, then we'll push the water out. So the point is that when something comes into my life, instead of me developing the worry, find where the problem is. Find the problem, close the leak, fix the problem, and then take care of the mess. Now this can only be done when you really trust Hashem. If you don't trust Hashem, then I think Dvorah left it. When you don't trust Hashem, then that's when you start developing the worries and the fear. And Hashem says, you think I can't take care of things? I can take care of whatever I want. And in most situations, the situations that Hashem will put me in is just a test to see if I have trust in Hashem. And if I pass the test by showing that I have trust in Hashem, the challenge will disappear. If I fail and I have zero trust in Hashem, or zero faith in Hashem, then the challenge stays, and now I'm facing the problem. 90% of the challenges that I have, if I will just be completely cool about it, and say, well, whatever Hashem wants, that's what's going to happen, and I practice my bitachon and my trust and faith in Hashem, most cases the test will disappear. It will not stay, it will not stick, it will just disappear. Now when I feed it, and oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of here? Where am I going to get the money? How am I going to do now? Oh my gosh. When I start feeding it, then I'm creating it as a reality. When I don't give it any reality, I'm saying this problem doesn't even exist. That's when I'm pushing it away from the reality. So this is a very quick and short overview about the worries. B'ezrat Hashem, we will have more classes about more really how to deal with when I worry. But the first aid is not to worry about what I'm worrying, is about how to stop where it's originating from. And if I know how to go to the source and close the leak, then I just have to clean the mess. And the problem originates of lack of bitachon, lack of trust and bitachon in Hashem. Bitachon is trust, and emunah is faith. If I build my faith and build my trust, most likely I'm not going to worry about anything. So next time that you worry, you have to stop and say, why am I worrying? Hashem put this problem on me, then Hashem will take care of it. And if I'm going to worry now, is it going to help me? No. If I'm going to worry now, is it going to change the situation? Is it going to bring a solution? If it brings a solution, then it's not a worry. It's just a concern, and I'm trying to figure it out. But if me thinking of something, one thought too much, and it's not going to bring a solution, then right on the spot I have to say, waste of time. It's the wrong number. It's a mistake. I have nothing to worry about. And knowing that if I will worry, it's not going to change anything. If it changes, then it's no worry. It's just me doing an action. So the point I want to take from this is there's a sticker, it says don't worry, be happy. Is if you learn how to increase happiness and joy, then you have much less worries. This is a smart sticker. I think it's a song. The point is that I have to work on two different elements that they really wipe out the problems of worries and fears. And one of them is increasing faith and trust in Hashem, and the other one is increasing joy. And when I increase a lot of joy, simcha, as our sages say, Ivdu et Hashem besimcha, when I increase joy, then it diminishes the problems, and then the worry doesn't become such a big problem. And even if it's a problem, I don't see it as a problem. I just see it, we mentioned last week, exactly a week ago, a little bit less than a week ago, was the yahrzeit, the Hilula of Rabbi Nachum Ish Gamzo, who's buried 5 minutes from here. And everything that happened to him, he said, Gamzu Tova, this is also good, for the best. And that was his nickname, Gamzo, Ish Gamzo. That everything that happened, he says, Gamzu Tova, this is also good. There's no such a thing that bad comes from Shamayim. If I now got kicked out of my house, Gamzu Tova, maybe a rocket was supposed to hit the house and destroy the house. It's all for the good. Now when I have this attitude, then I see the good in everything. And if I have an attitude of complaining and whining, then I'm not going to see the good in anything. I'm going to choose to see the bad in everything. That's going to cause me to be worried and to be afraid. So therefore I have to, in one way, have increasing trust and faith in Hashem, and on the other side, increasing happiness and being happy with everything. When Hashem says, He's happy even with the tzarot, even with the problems, then I'll make sure that now everything He has a reason to be happy. It says that Hashem says, if you are complaining for no reason, I'll give you a reason to complain. So if you are happy for no reason, then I'll give you a lot of reasons to be happy. And if you're thanking for no reason, I'll give you 3 reasons to be thankful. So the point is not only to analyze why am I worried, is rather to go to where it originates from, so I'll be able to deal with it in its essence, in its root. And on the other side, I have to increase my trust and faith in Hashem, and increase happiness and joy in my life. And that by default will start reducing slowly the anxieties, the fear, and the worries. Mezad Hashem, hopefully you leave the class and having echo in your mind, don't worry, everything will be okay, don't worry. My mom always comes and visits me, and she's like, you're always so relaxed, don't worry. We have a joke in the family, that many years ago we sat in a Shabbat table, and there was an Israeli guy that his English was very, very bad. And he used to invent words. His English was so bad that he used to just come up with these words and nobody would understand. What do you mean? What are you talking about? So one time, this girl, something happened. She started being very uptight and screaming and wet. So he wanted to calm her down. So instead of telling her, don't worry, he told her, don't exercise. So, and everybody was like, she's like, what? And he told her, don't exercise, everything will be okay. I don't even know where he came up with that, but he told her, he kept repeating it, and he kept telling her, don't exercise. So we all laughed, she started laughing, so it changed the entire scenario. And then up until today, adopted this, something happened, don't exercise. What do you mean don't exercise? What do you mean? Why should I exercise? Don't exercise. So that's our joke. So something happens, don't exercise. Don't worry. Let Hashem take care of all your problems. If you know how to deliver the problem to Hashem, then Hashem says, I'll take care of it. All you need to know is how to deliver it to Hashem. I told you I think it was a few months ago when I came from one of my trips, that I told you that I was worried about the certain amount that I had to raise. And the second that I left the responsibility and I said, Hashem, it's your problem, it's not my problem, I don't have to worry about the finance here. The second that I gave the problem to Hashem, I said, I have nothing to worry. I said, it's not for me to worry. My kids don't worry if they're going to have dinner or not. Do you know why? Because they worry, they say it's your problem. They actually go to my wife. They say, Mommy, it's your problem, I'm hungry. So kids don't worry where they're going to get their food, because Mommy gives them food and Abba gives them money to buy things. They don't worry, because they put the responsibility on the ones that needs to take responsibility. So if I have problems, it's Hashem's responsibility, it's not my responsibility. Now when I'm taking responsibility, then Hashem says, okay, you want to deal with it, you do it. When I'm saying, no, Hashem, this is yours, this is your problem, it's not mine, then Hashem says, okay, you take care of your problem, I'll take care of my problem. Fair? So the point is how to know how to give the responsibility back to Hashem. Then Hashem says, oh, now I can show you what I can do. I can make miracles. Just don't worry. Just have faith in me and have trust in me. When you trust Hashem, Hashem can do whatever He wants.